All right, these are Brent C wheels. So Brent C, made by Amoco. They are 3/4 horsepower. They are great wheels. These are almost 16 years old. I expect most of these wheels to last at least another 10 years. We bought them for $950. You can buy a brand new one for about $17 right now. Still a great investment. They are good wheels. And we beat them to death. They're good wheels. Here's the wheel head. These are splash pans. This is the deck. On the right side, there's one switch. That's a toggle. It goes up and down. Up is on, down is off. So when it's on and I press on the pedal, it's going to start to spin. Now, it's spinning counterclockwise. This is how right-handers throw. Any left-handers in here? No? Okay. If there were, you pull it towards you once, and again, you have to let it go, and it'll spin clockwise. You might sit down at a wheel sometime, and it's spinning clockwise, so you stop it, you push away once, let go, push away again, and it'll start to spin. If it's not working, it may not be plugged in. We could have popped the GFCI outlet. There could be a couple of reasons. Holler at me. The pedal itself is variable, and it goes from 0 to as fast as it goes. Some wheels are faster. Some go from 0 to 50 super quick. Some have a nice, like this one has a nice slow range, mid range, fast range. I throw mostly in the mid range. If yours is doing something you don't know, like it's doing something weird, call me over, we'll look at it. If I need to fix it, it'll take me about 5 minutes to fix, so not a big deal. What else do you need to know? Make sure you turn it off when you're done. Okay, so first step is to prep to get our stuff. The first three, now I'll just give you the first 4 variables. Wheel speed, water content, body position, and pressure. They're variables because they change depending on what we're trying to accomplish, depending on what step we're on, depending on other things, they'll change. Depending on how much clay we have, they change. So wheel speed, water content, body position, and pressure. So the second step is get your clay on your wheel and seal it. So I'm going to get my chunk of clay, I'm going to cut it in half. Now, as we've watched videos, some of them have said, put water on your wheel head. I don't know if they all have said that. I don't put water on my wheel head. And even if this was dry, and I just cleaned this, so it's not all the way dry. But I take my chunk of clay and I put it in the middle, pat it down, and it'll start to stick. Okay, because it's transferring water into the wheel head, and now they're binding together. So I don't put water. When you put water, you little tiny bit on your finger, put it in the middle there, and then rub it out so it's fairly dry. That way it sticks pretty quick. Most people, when they say put water on, they do that. And when you do that, and if I put the clay down there, this clay is just going to slip all over the place. So it's hydroplane. So make sure that you dry that. If you add water, it should be wet but not shiny. All right, set that down. So we're going to place our clay in the center, pat it down, and then seal it. So sealing comes from pushing straight down and then wrapping my fingers around. So let's talk about body position for a second. My elbows are going to come in, they're going to hit into my hips. Okay, they're not out on my knees, they're in my hips, and they're tight into my rib cage. I create this little box, and that allows me to use my upper body for a lot of my actual pressure, like this. And so we're going to start our wheel and then touch the clay. That's a hint. Always start your wheel and then touch the clay. The next, with our water content, once we start applying pressure to the clay, if it's not shiny, it's not wet enough. So I'm going to come in, elbows are down, my thumbs are touching, I'm going to push straight down. My pressure is pretty good straight down. I'm going to lightly wrap my hands around with my pinkies at the bottom. The bottom meaning where it touches the clay and the wheel head. Okay, sealed means there's no gaps or shadows at the very base. So if I'm like, I don't know if that's good or not, I'm just going to bring one finger in and just really push on that. And that looks good. If it's not sealed and you skip that stage and you start to cone it up, which is pushing at 7 o'clock, it's going to lift that clay up and it's going to go flying. So, if you look, this is not centered. Centering is sealing all the way through refining, and we'll cover all those. So I'm going to come in at 7 o'clock. My arm's going to come in. It's going to point towards the middle. And anytime I push on clay, it's got to go somewhere. Okay, and as I'm pushing on it, it's going up just a little bit. And then I'm going to come on the other side and catch it. So I'm going to squeeze at the bottom, lift and flatten my hands out, and then roll my hand over the top. Squeeze at the bottom, lift and flatten, and roll. Now if you saw that wobble, if my elbows were up, that wobble would have thrown me all over the place. So I'm just going to hold steady, lift at the bottom, squeeze, flatten, and roll over. Now, here's another theory for you. More pressure at the bottom, medium pressure in the middle, light pressure at the top, always. If I push hard at the bottom and keep that pressure as I move up, I'm going to rip my clay off. So when that happens and you're lifting up and you get up here and your clay comes flying off, it's because you're pushing too hard for the amount of clay that's up there. Okay? Okay. So squeeze at the bottom, lift, and roll over. Now we're going to bring it down. So step number 3 is cone up and cone down. It's actually 2 steps, but I didn't want to add a number 10. My right hand's going to come in at 6 o'clock and point straight over the middle. My left hand's going to come next to that on the left side, and I'm going to put my pinky over my thumb. And I'm going to start to press down. My clay should be wet, so that's kind of dry. Add some water. And we're going to push down. It's getting a little wobbly, that's okay. So we cone down, and then the most important part of the centering process to me is refining. So we coned it up and coned down, and now we're going to refine. Where I'm still in that cone down position, and all I'm going to do, I'm going to push in, the clay's going to hit my right hand and move up just a little bit. I'm going to push down, the clay's going to hit my left hand and move out. It's really important that you guide the clay to where you want it to be, but don't let it do its own thing. Push down. I'm never pushing down and in at the same time. I'm always pushing down, it's hitting my hand and moving out, pushing in, it's hitting my hand and moving up, or I'm just holding with an even pressure, not trying to move the clay. And we have it open like that. sorry, we have it centered like that. Okay, we're going to come in here and open it down. So my left thumb is going to create that little knob. When I create that little knob, my right index finger is going to go on my thumbnail, middle finger next to it, and I create a scoop. Really, it's just those two fingers with support. Add a little water, my elbows are down, and I'm going to push into the center. I know I'm in the center when that little knob goes flying off. Okay, it rips off, and I'm going to push down. Now my fingers are bent a little bit. If I feel like I'm sticking, I release my pressure and add water. That worked out well. And then I'm going to come in here and measure the bottom. Up until this point, I haven't stopped my wheel. It's just been spinning. Put that at the bottom. And then you've got that much clay. When we measure, we should have between 1 and 2 thicknesses of a wood knife. It shouldn't be thicker than 2. It shouldn't be less than 1. Okay, so if it's thicker than 2, you need to push down further. It's thinner, you just need to not push that far next time. All right. Next step, we're going to open it towards this. So I want to cover this before we do that. So as we're working, once we opened up the clay, so when you look up here, there's water in there. And we open up the clay, we opened it down. If there's still water in there, before we do anything else, we've got to take that water out. We've got to practice compressing the clay. This does a couple things for us. 1, it compresses the clay, so it makes it compact. 2, it makes it so that the water doesn't soak in. And when the water soaks in, it becomes like a swamp, and it gets all like bleh. And then the walls get wiggly. So what we want to do, every time we opened it, we take the water out. Now, I'm going to add water in to do the next thing, which is ring finger and middle finger are going to pull towards my thumb. Because if I don't add water in, I'm going to be gripping really dry clay, and it's going to skip, and it's going to make it off-centered. But now that I did that, I come in here and take the water out. Okay, and again, if your brain's like, why take the water out when I'm just adding it back in? That compression makes it seem like a desert bed. So when we add water to it, it stays on top for a little bit. And if you've ever seen a rainstorm come in on a desert bed, if it comes in and just a little bit comes, it stays there and just kind of runs off. If a lot comes, it'll end up soaking in. You have huge mud pits. And that's not what we want. We don't want a huge mud pit. All right. Then we get here. We're going to lift it up or pull it. So that should be number 6. Tell me what you got so far. Okay. Okay, prepare it. Oh, and seal it. So put the clay on the wheel and seal. It's number 2. Then open it down. No. Cone up, cone down. So that's, and then number 4 is going to be refine it. Okay, it's all part of the cone up, cone down, but I want you to specifically look at that. Because if your clay is still wobbly before you open it, and you open it, it's going to be extra wobbly. So we need to make sure we refine that. So we refined it. So number 5 is going to be open down. Number 6 is going to be open towards us, right? And number 7 is lift or pull. So I want everyone to do this. Take your thumbs, put your thumbnails together. Okay, pointed straight up, thumbnails together. It's important that your thumbnails go together because when they're down, they're going to be acting as support for each other. So thumbnails together, and then take your hands and kind of flap them like they're wings. Okay, now if we look down here on the wheel head, keep your hands in that position. This is 3 o'clock. This is 6 o'clock. And there's 4 and there's 5. I'm going to drop right between 4 and 5. And my left hand is going to go inside. My thumbs are going to go outside and my right hand is going to go outside. And it looks like this. So my thumbs go like this. And my wings start flapping and they go up. And then we go and dive straight down there into 430. Okay? So do that with me. Thumbs together. Everyone. And we're going to flap up. And we're going to dive. I heard a little bit. Let's do that again. Just you. Okay, that was you were like right down here, like, I'm here. 1. One more time, come on. Right down here. Where do we land? We land with our left hand inside, thumbs on the outside at 430 with our right hand on the outside. So important that you understand this because the whole point of throwing, there are other ways to throw, but the whole point of learning to throw is that we're guiding the clay specifically to specific places. And if you don't have one hand on the inside, one on the outside, and guide that up, you're going to get a bowl. You're going to get a floppy something. You're going to get a thick top. You're not controlling where that clay is going. So we're going to come in here, like that every time. You can do it quiet to yourself if you want, but. And we're going to push at the bottom, and I'm going to start to lift up. When I get closer to the top, I'm going to roll in just a little bit. Now, more pressure, medium pressure, light pressure. Always, always, always. Bottom is more pressure. There's more clay down there. It takes more pressure to get it moving. So we grab that clay, start to lift. If I keep all that pressure, it's going to rip. So I reduce some of that pressure, and then I tilt inwards with very little pressure. Outside hand has most of the pressure. Inside hand is supportive. So there's a little bit of pressure, but not a ton of pressure. Take the water out. So we're lifting, and depending on what we're trying to get to, depends on where and what we do, how much clay we have. Okay. The next step is cleaning and refining. So I'm going to take my metal rib, and you want to practice with your metal rib because you can't, in my opinion, throw a good bowl or a good vase without understanding how to control a metal rib. It's not actually true, but you can use a wood rib, you can use a rubber rib. Well, we're going to take this and we're going to come in here, and it's just going to hit the bottom just lightly and gently run up. Now, my theory on this is if I have a flat side like a cylinder, I use the flat part of my rib. If I have a round side, let me rephrase that. On the flat side, you use the round side. On the round side, you use the flat side. So if it's curved out, you're going to use the flat side. And now if you look at that, it's drier, it looks more compressed. That's what we're going for. We're not going to try to shape it. You could, but we're not. And then we're going to clean it up with our wood knife. Now I don't have a huge skirt on this, but usually at the bottom it gets a little thicker. So we're going to take that off and we're going to use a wood knife to do it. I'm going to clean that. And that wood knife is designed to go straight down with the handle sticking out and then pierce that clay. So I'm going to do that close to me. I hold it with like a pencil. I'm going to run it down my left hand and I just slowly pierce downward. Gets all the way to the bottom. I let that run for a second. And then we're going to clean this up. Set that clay aside. Now there's some chunks on it. I'm just going to come in here and clean that up. right. So that's cleaning, refining. The next one is to cut it. Now, we're going to cut it differently now than we do later. We're going to come underneath it halfway and cut straight up. And then we're going to cut that in half. And we're going to look at that. And you cutting your piece in half, I can tell so much about what you're doing throwing just by seeing that. So I'm looking at two things. The two main things is this side and that side, are they equal? So if I were to measure them, is this side a 1/4 inch and that side's a 1/4 inch? Okay, or is one side a 1/2 inch and one side's an 1/8 of an inch? Okay, if it's off, that means you're not centered. And that's the first thing we need to figure out. Second, I look at the bottom. What does the shape of the bottom look like? That looks like a cup, not a bowl. That's good. I look for the transitions. Does it go thick, thin, or is it a nice, it goes a little bit thicker and goes just a little bit thinner as it goes up? And that means you're controlling your pressure. Okay? All right, let's do that again. So, wheel speed, water content, body position. And then the steps. So prep your clay, get your clay on the wheel and sealed. Cone it up. So as we cone it up, I'm going to push in, catch or push that clay. Pushing between the strong parts of my left hand and the knuckles of my right hand. I start to lift. And then when I get to the top, I roll over. Now, it's important to have your left hand here. If I just push down, I create a mushroom or something that flies out like this because I'm not guiding that clay, I'm just pushing it. So what I'm going to do is put my left hand with a little bit of pressure, and now when I push down, it's going to wrap that clay down my hand and push it down into the cylinder. So we're going to come in and move down like so. I throw with a sponge in my hand, right between my thumb and my index finger, so that I can just squeeze out water whenever I want. So I'm going to refine this. Push in, the clay's going to move up, push down, push back in, and I'm waiting for that clay to kind of give me a sigh of relief or stop fighting me. All right, so that's refining. Now we're going to open it, but I want to go over a couple of things. Kind of the philosophy of the wheel and why the wheel is such a useful tool. When we do things on the wheel, they're designed to be round. That doesn't mean we can't alter them off the wheel, but they're designed to easily be made circular, and they look the same at any kind of area you're looking at. What's this? My thumb, right? So if I come in here and I push on there, what's that? A what? A dent, but it's my thumbprint, right? Okay. Still my thumb, right? Guys are almost quieter than first period. What's that? My thumbprint. My infinity thumbprint. Right? Because my thumb made that shape. That's what it is. And so, index finger, right? We agree? If I come in here and just poke it in like that, it's a dent, it's a hole. But if I come in here and hold steady, that index finger creates a bowl. You can set it right there. excited. I ordered a sextant, so like navigating by the stars. I want to learn how to use it. I think it's in that box. I'm super excited. Where were we? Oh, my finger makes that. If I come in and karate chop it, it becomes a dent. If I come in and hold steady, it becomes a shape or a form, right? So that's what the wheel does. It allows us to put pressure at different sides, different times, equally to create something that's round. And when we come in and just hit it, it gives us something that's not round. Okay, so we always go to our clay slowly, and we always release it slowly. All right, let's open this. If you have fingernails, this is a great little trick. You can come in here, put your index finger, it's the same little scoop. You put a sponge on that side, and you're just going to push down through that sponge. That way, your fingernails don't grab the clay. So, kind of cool. If you don't have fingernails, you can do it too. That's actually how I open almost all the time. All right, we're going to open this towards me. Now, again, back to the clay doesn't like to be jerked around. If I come in here and I'm like, I want this to be out here, so I'm like, get there. Oh, wait, that's not good. So we need to tell the clay, stop wobbling. And then I'm going to slowly bring this out. Take the water out. I'm sure there's a great metaphor about clay being like a relationship. You have to be gentle and kind and not like reactive and whatever, but you deal with that, not me. Okay, I'm going to lift this up. I'm going to push at the bottom, and I'm pushing through a sponge, but my fingers are the same, and I'm going to grab that clay. Now, if my inside hand is pushing out too much, it's going to go into a bowl. If it's not pushing out, but it's just supporting, I can get my hands to work together and move that up. Let's do that again, down to the bottom. So you're guiding clay between your fingers. Sometimes it's my two index fingers, sometimes it's my middle finger and my index finger. Sometimes it's other things, but for the most part, we're just in here guiding. Now, I want you to look at this. Is that pretty round? Pretty circular? Okay. Is that an oval? Okay, if I release quickly, it stays an oval. Okay, but if I come in here and release slow, it'll go back to a circle. Same thing if I come in here and hit it, right? So we need to slow down, and I can get clay to move some pretty great places if I'm paying attention to what it'll do, and then slowly let go. Fold that down, bring it back up, down, back up. Or we could do this and just keep rolling it down. And that's just controlling the clay and telling it what to do. Casually. Just casually. Hey, if I couldn't inflate my ego, why would I do it? That's okay. I'm going to ask you a question a little bit, and there is a right answer. But here's the thing. As you're working with clay and things fall apart, okay, our first reaction is to just fold it on. Actually, your first reaction is going to be see if I can't put this chunk of clay back on there to make it work. That's not good. But the second reaction is, I'm just gonna get rid of all this clay. And I want you to fight that. I want you to come to the clay and hold steady. I want you to play around with the clay and see what you can accomplish. Now, my clay is really dry, so I'm sticking. So I need to add some water. That allows me to slip through it while I can still add pressure. But play around with that clay. See what you can do with it. See where you can press it. I'm just guiding it between my hands, my fingers, and then when this one rips apart, do some more. This play will teach you so much about clay. Oh, it flopped. So we're just going to get rid of that and do some more. Because when you rip through it, then you know that's how far I can push it before it falls apart. So next time you go to do it, don't push so far. Oh, that one wants to rip through. And you just keep playing with this clay. So we're going to talk about some of the things. What do I want to say about that? Oh, this. Sometimes we say things like, work hard. And I want you to change that to say something like, explore. What's a good word that would go with explore? Discover? What's another word? Like explore or discover. I mean, you could say something like happily, but what's a better word than happily? Joyfully? Oh, that would be a good one. Explore joyfully. Like as you're doing this, instead of being like, I need to get to the end and this is all my grade and I'm so stressed. How about I'm playing with clay. Say it real loud, whatever you said. Enjoy it. Enjoy this. So, explore with joy. How cool is that? Oh look, there's just enough clay to make another one. But I'm going to need the assistance of my needle tool. I've seen somebody throw with toothpicks before. Look at that, little tiny pot. Okay, let's do another one. I'm kind of past the idea of working hard. And that's what got me thinking about how can we explore? How can we play around? Yeah, we got just enough time for this and then something. So, number 5 on the variables is know your steps. I forgot to tell you that. They change depending on what we're trying to accomplish. So, we come in here. We're doing our best. I'm going to give you some hints right now. Elbows down. Keep a nice constant wheel speed. Don't go fast, slow, fast, slow, fast, slow. If you need to, just take your foot right off that pedal. Okay. Next, pick a hand position, even if it's not exactly right. and leave it there. Leave it there longer. If you're like this all over the place, the clay's gonna be like, what the crap do you want me to do? It doesn't know. So just hang out, push on that clay, make your movement slower. Everything you do, if you're doing something and you're like, it's not getting where I want it to go, or it went too far, slow down a little bit. All right, wheel speed, water content, body position, pressure. Know your steps. That's what's happening here. I understand how the clay works while the wheel is spinning at different speeds. Making sure I have enough water, making sure my pressure isn't too much or too little, depending on where I'm at on my clay. Making sure that my hand's not moving too quickly. Paying attention to what the clay is telling me. This guy's moving a little fast, so if I start to lift this up with this clay spinning so fast, it's going to come out here and it's going to want to go flying. So I got to slow that down. Push together and lift. So, what is it? Do we have all the steps? Read them to me. In each one of those, there are tiny little things. I've covered some of them, I haven't covered them all. We'll give you more information as we go. There's little tiny movements that we do that could be considered part of a step. But everything you do, you're dealing with wheel speed, water content, body position, pressure. And if it falls apart, something went wrong. And we can change it. If you're getting the same result and it's flopping every time, it's becoming a bowl every time, something can be changed. And it's usually your inside hand, it's pressing too hard and so it's going out instead of going in. If it's tearing, it's because your inside hand and your outside hand are fighting on thinner clay. If it's flopping, it's probably too thin or too soggy. This one's cracking because the clay is just a little bit underdeveloped, and that's okay. I'm going to joyfully explore for a minute. But to me, it's actually something that I'm trying to do in all aspects of my life. Instead of thinking things as work or hard, I'm trying to be like, I'm going to do that with a good attitude and have some fun in it. You ever been on a hike with somebody who doesn't want to be there? Yeah. I don't want them there either. Because it sucks. You're like, I hate this. You're like 8 steps into a hike. This is so hard. It's so stupid. I don't know why you made me do this. To build character, son. That's what they say. All right. Here's a question for you. We get out of 25, right? Or 20? 12, 20. Okay, here's the question. Think of somebody, and who do you know or know of? You don't have to know them personally. One or two?
Two. Oh, like
What did you think?
Well, I figured you were gonna like cut it in half and then, like, never mind.
Oh.
Yeah, 2.
No, go 2.
We'll go. Okay, so think of somebody you know or know of that does something really, really, really well. I'm gonna fight with this for a second. So wheel speed, water content, body position, pressure, same thing. Whether it's 1.5 pounds or almost 7 pounds. Knowing your steps, knowing what's next, knowing where to put things. All right, tell me, who do you know that does something really, really well? Or someone you know of? And what do they do? Just shout it out. Gordon Ramsay is a good cooker. Is that what you're saying? Who said that? Kind of a jerk sometimes, but
Sometimes.
actually I completely disagree with the way he makes scrambled eggs. I do.
How does he do that?
He puts them in a pan and he scrambles them like this and they look, he's like, and these are nice fluffy eggs. No, they look runny. They look nasty. I could show him how to make a good fluffy egg. I would love to meet Gordon Ramsay. He'd be like, you're such an idiot. I'm like, yeah, but I'm my idiot, so. I'm sure he'd be a lot of fun. I probably wouldn't start with that, hey, your eggs suck. I'd be like, hey, what's some things you could teach me that I could make my food better at home? And he was like, oh, I'm gonna show you the best scrambled eggs. I'd be like, no, I'm out. Who else? You guys don't know anybody who does anything good?
Michael Jordan is good at basketball.
Who?
Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan used to play good basketball. He probably still plays decent basketball. I bet at a neighborhood pickup game, people are like, suck, he showed up. Okay, Michael Jordan. Someone else.
Beyonce and singing.
Say that again?
Beyonce and singing.
Oh yeah, Beyonce and singing.
Oh, Taylor Swift and singing.
Taylor Swift and
Yeah,
everything.
She got 2 Grammys yesterday.
Did she?
And announced a new album.
Aw.
Yeah. Shocked
Yeah.
everyone.
I'm surprised that wasn't blaring at my house this morning.
No. Like, she.
Oh, she announced it, it's not out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
April 19th.
Good, because you gotta stay up on it. Did I tell you that we celebrated Harry Styles' birthday the other day? Yeah.
Like Cassidy.
No, Andrea.
Oh.
There is no getting out of celebrating Harry Styles' birthday at our house. You are a part of it. There's a cake, there's a life-size cutout.
Did you sing?
Yeah, we blast and, no, we sing one of his songs, whatever it is, I don't really care, but I'm sure there's a TikTok out there somewhere with me in it.
Wow. Big Harry Styles fan.
Me? Not really. I'm a big my daughter fan. So. And she likes to do things like this, so. Anyway, someone else.
Usain Bolt.
Usain Bolt. Super quick. Okay. Oh, there's a serious air bubble on this sucker.
Well, you only watched one of them like 16 times, and the other ones you averaged 21 to 30 times.
You were seriously counting? Look at that. That's like the air bubble. It's a good thing. I have a solution for that.
How many times have you watched it?
Oh, you only did it
I
16
wedged
times?
I wedged 5 things. So what were the other 3?
It was like 21,
one was 29 and it bugged me so much that it wasn't 30 because he always told us to go out with 30.
I love this so much.
You only did it 16 times?
Yeah.
That's why there was an error.
But he like
bubble.
paused in the middle of it, so he like took the same amount of time on each one, but he'd like pause on one of them. Are you gonna be self-conscious about wedging now?
Nope. If anything, I will wedge at a weird number just to irritate you.
Yeah, odd numbers are not it.
So if I were to be counting, I'd be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. That's the problem?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Usain Bolt. Anyone else? We got 10 minutes.
Tiger Woods.
Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
Do you know how many coaches Tiger Woods has? I don't either. I once floated a river down Tiger Woods' ex-wife's house up in Jackson Hole. His wife has a house up on one of the bluffs as you come down by Jackson Hole.
Wow.
Wow.
You're famous, basically.
Cool.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay, why do we talk about this? So, Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan, Usain Bolt. What are some words we could use to describe them?
Elite.
Committed, elite,
Discipline.
disciplined,
Disciplined.
Dominant.
dominant, 17.
Talented.
Good.
I should have said even number.
I'm just concentrating, don't worry.
Consistent.
Consistent. Good. None of you use the word that I don't like. And it's not that I don't like it, it's that when it's used, it reminds me or makes me think that we're discounting other things. Anyone want to guess what that word is?
Perfect.
No.
Good.
Talented.
Oh.
I hate that word. Nope, no one said it. And here's one of the reasons why I don't like it. It's not that you can't, but Tiger Woods, you could say he's talented, but I'd say he's dedicated. I'd say he has nitpicked his everything and practiced and practiced and practiced. In fact, he went from having a great career to having a mediocre career, right? And now he's kind of back, which means he did something to get better. And as we grow and we age, we have to change things. And he probably had to change something, like fix something that he could do naturally. It just came easier when he was 20, and now it's not as easy. Michael Jordan, great story of somebody who persevered and pushed. So talent is not that thing. Talent is something, even if you have it, even you have that. Let's say I was 3 years old and I could throw in the wheel. I couldn't. I didn't know what the wheel was. But let's say I could, and I was great at it for a 3-year-old. And then I'm like, I'm the best 3-year-old potter in the world. And then I stopped caring and learning from people, and I stopped progressing, and my skills, maybe I got up to a 5th grade level, but I'm a really great 5th grader. But now I'm in high school, now I'm in college, but my skills are still down there because I was just so good. I don't need to push myself, right? Happens in college or high school sports a lot. You get to college and you're like, wait, I was so good and now everyone else is just like me. And so you gotta find your thing. You gotta push and work. See, it's hard not to say work harder. Maybe that'll be the difference. Instead of working hard, you work joyfully. Inquisitively, how about that? All right. So number 6 on the variable list. Find the rules and break them. No, number 6. Oh, I should put a number 7 on there just for you. There is a number 9, but 9's not so bad because you know it's divisible, right? It's different than like a 17 or a 7. Okay, what was I saying? This, number 6. And this is, there's a couple of ways we can go about this. But it's what's going on in your head is number 6. and it's different for everybody. And some things that I hear a lot from students, from parents, from adults, from whatever, and they say things like, I was going to pull this up further, but it's thin right there, it's going to flop. And that right there is actually right where those 2 pieces of clay went together. So had I stopped and wedged them together, that would have been better. But I'm going to leave that there, it's fine. So as we're thinking about it, you have, I lost my train of thought. Oh, what's going on in your head? You're going to be attacking this the way you attack this. And I don't want to put thoughts in your head, but you're going to be saying things like, oh, this is what I was saying. So people will tell me, I'm not artistic. I get that a lot, okay? And I'll be like, sweet, I don't care if you're artistic, okay? Can you follow directions? Can you work through problems? Can you ask questions? Then we can get you to make something, okay? And it happens. I'm not creative, okay? That's not that big of a deal. We can work through that. And I can actually teach you ways to make it look like you're creative. And then by the time you do it 4 or 5 or 10 times, you'll get your own ideas, and guess what? You're creative. And it's pretty sweet. But other things I hear, I'm going to come back, and I've heard this with wedging, I've heard this with throwing out slabs, and it's things like, I can't, I'm no good, I suck. Well, if you say I suck, you're sitting back on the wheel and you're like, Mr. Jones, I suck at this. I'm going to be like, I can tell. I can tell you suck, okay? But you're brand new, so why wouldn't you suck? Why wouldn't you be struggling? It's okay. So we need to change the things we say. So if you're like, I can't yet, I'm no good at this. I hear that, and I hear, I'm missing enough information that I'm doubting my abilities. So as you're struggling, when you say something, what are you missing? What don't you understand that makes it so you can't accomplish what you think you should accomplish? And if it's, well, you think you should be able to do this today, but you've never been on the wheel, we need to back up a little bit, because this has taken me a long time to get to be able to make things like this. And discounting this would be a problem. That's the other thing. Sometimes we look at people, and you're going to see people get better. They're going to get better quicker. You're going to see some kids who've taken this class a couple of times who are better because they spent the time. And you might compare yourself to them. Now, let's say I go out and golf. I know how to golf. I'm not great at golfing. Let's say I bump into Tiger Woods, and I'm like, oh, Tiger, I suck at golf. And and he's like, well, play more, hire a coach, whatever you want to do. If you want to get good at it, well, get good at it. It's possible. And so as we're working, don't compare yourself to other people. It's not okay. But also just be nice to yourself. You're brand new. The wheel is hard, but it is attainable. It really is. And I'm going to tell you right now, most of you will be able to do decent work on the wheel this semester, most. Some of you will hate the wheel so much that you're gonna wanna do something else. And if that happens, let me know and we'll work through it, okay? If it's because you were on it one time, that's not enough. But if you've been on it 5, 6 times and you're like, I really don't like the wheel, okay, let's find something else for you. It's not that big of a deal. I love the wheel. It's one of my top 5 things to do in the whole world is to sit at the wheel and play with clay. And I'm constantly stretching myself and pushing and doing. So as we're working, be mindful of what's going on in your head because it can be hard. And so take those things and be like, what do I need to know? What am I missing? Okay, it's okay to be brand new. It's okay to not be very good. It's okay to mess up, but it's not okay to not try. So remember that. It's not okay to not try. Let's try. Anything else you want to know?
Make that big one up there on the wheel.
Nick Simpson made that. He graduated from here 13 years ago.
Oh, wow.
14 years ago. Something like that. Okay, we'll see you all Wednesday. Be ready. Turn in your notes on Google Classroom, both sets. Bring your sketches for your mugs on Wednesday so you have a place to start. It's going to be good. Less me, more you.